From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBacks, the Primetime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling the same. It is Tuesday, the 29th of August, man. We are very close to September. We're about a week away from the NFL, and we are upon the unveiling of pretty much every college football team this weekend that didn't play last weekend. But, you know, they only played like 7 games. So it's officially opening weekend this weekend because it's going to be Labor Day weekend. We're going to get games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So we got 5 days worth of games with the college football as well, too. But we'll get into that more later on into the week. But let's get into the topic at hand, and that's going to be NFL news, and that's going to be the Cardinals cut Colt McCoy, still undecided on week 1 starter. Who should they start? They have a couple options right now. They just traded for Josh Dobbs from the Cleveland Browns, who played for the Titans last year at the end of the year when Ryan Tannehill was no longer available. He was the quarterback that they had in the playoff type situation against the Jaguars. He wound up losing that game, but you know, Josh Dobbs is still a very serviceable quarterback, so that works out pretty well. And then you have also David Blau, a guy who's very keen, you know, who's been around the NFL a little bit, but, you know, pretty much he's a good backup. You know what I mean? He's a very serviceable backup. But they have a rookie in place, and he's been getting a lot of attention. A lot of people like this rookie, and his name is – I'm trying to get his name for us right now. His name is going to be Clayton Tune. That's just because it just seems so – weird. And Clayton Tune is out of the University of Houston. So there's a lot of guys that come from these Texas schools like Houston, SMU, Texas Tech, all that good stuff. And pretty much they have all been, you know, very good, you know, in a sense, when they come to the NFL. I'm not saying good like they're every week starter, but they're serviceable, you know. And when you think of Houston quarterbacks, you think of Kevin Cobb, Andre Ware, you know, and you know, just you have guys that are very adequate at the quarterback position. But I still feel that Tune is going to be another guy who's just pretty much another backup. So really, they're going to have a moving parts here at the quarterback position. I think that they'll possibly have 4 different starters this year, to be honest with you. And we know that this team is going to kind of go through the fire a little bit this year. They are the team that is seen as the worst team in the NFL because their starting quarterback will not be returning this season. Or if he does return this season, it'll be very late in the year in Kyler Murray. So we look at Arizona, they'll possibly be drafting number 1 in the draft again after 4 years ago drafting number 1 to get Kyler Murray. So this team is really at a crossroads right now. Do they have expectations? No, they do not. But are they going to try each and every week? Yep, they are. Because this coach has to at least show that he's giving some effort. Because you guys always are talking about tanking. You just can't tank. Now, if it's obvious that you're tanking, everybody gets fired. You have to kind of disguise it a little bit. So Arizona fans, they know that they're not going to be great, but they want you to at least play with some effort. You know what I mean? Because when those games come on Sunday, nobody's begging for their team to lose. They truly aren't. You know what I mean? They can say that on Twitter and all these other places, but that's a damn lie. Don't nobody want their team to lose. They want their team to win every week, every game, every time they step on the field. It's that simple. So the Cardinals are going to be a team that are going to be in a lot of games where they're going to be double-digit dogs, and people have to just understand that. But will they have gamers? And it's going to be a real tough task on the defense this season. But the defense could possibly be up for it. But we all know Arizona has really pretty much got rid of all their key playmakers for this year, with the idea that they're going to be a top 5 drafting team next year. And without a doubt, that's what they're going to be. But still, they can be somewhat feasible throughout the year. But we'll see how it goes. But I would say if I was the head coach and you go with who your starter truly has to be, I would say that Josh Dobbs will be the best starter for your team. Because Josh Dobbs played with Pittsburgh, very good system in Pittsburgh. He also did a pretty good job in Tennessee, learning that situation very late in the year as well too, and being able to master that playbook. So that's the one thing that you do get with Dobbs. He's a fast learner, and he does know how to adapt very well. And I know they liked him a lot in Cleveland because they brought him back twice. So Dobbs will possibly be their starter come Sunday, but most likely they will go with Clayton Tune. So we'll see. We'll confirm next week when we'll confirm next week when we do the NFL bet exchange, me and Jeff. So be ready for that, and we move forward from there. Okay, so let's move on to FIBA. Team USA crushes Greece 109-81, and now are 2-0 in the FIBA World Cup. They have absolutely been a grand team to watch. They've playing some great basketball yesterday. Austin Reeves led all scorers with 15 points. And, you had a good effort from Brunson, also from Edwards as well, too. And everybody just is loving playing with each other. And that's a beautiful thing to watch. They make sure that they're playing really good team defense as well. That's what was wrong with the last group that played in the FIBA World Championships, the World Cup, is that they just weren't good defensively. And this team is different. They are very good defensively. And we do know that a lot of these guys are trying to play for their spot in the next Olympics, because nothing's sealed and delivered for any of these guys. These were just the guys selected for the World Cup team. And usually with the World Cup team, you don't have the big stars for that team. You know what I mean? I know next year when they do the Olympics, they'll have the LaMelos. They'll have the Anthony Edwards will be back. They'll have possibly they'll have some more veterans. They'll have some more old men. Hey, Kevin Durant might say, you know what, I want to get me a 5th gold medal. So it is what it is at the end of the day. And I truly do feel that we do have a lot of really good players in place. And this just goes to show you how good of hands the NBA is in moving forward. And now, you got more of a team mentality, and you got to thank LeBron James for that, because LeBron James has always been a team first guy, even though it feels like he's a me first guy. But we all know that he has been a very good team first guy. And that's absolutely trickled down to this next generation. So they are playing the type of basketball that you need to play to win these type of tournaments. And they're so confident. That's the whole thing. And I think that really plays off of guys like Reeves, who are the underdog, and guys like Anthony Edwards, who are seen as the big dog. So you bring these guys together, underdogs and big dogs, they all thrive together. That's the whole thing. Sometimes when you got a whole room full of divas, nobody can choose who the lead is going to be. With this team, the lead is going to be whoever it needs to be to win that game. And that's absolutely a tremendous sight to see. And I know it all goes back to a guy named Jalen Brunson, who's just so savvy and just so gritty and so grimy. And he's just one of the epitomes of what good basketball is all about. It's not always about being the prettiest. It's not always about being the flashiest. It's not always about being the flyest. It's about getting buckets, and it's about getting things, and it's about stopping buckets. So these guys get it. Stick to the basics. Don't get too cute, and just keep on moving. They got Jordan coming up next. Rondé Hollis Jefferson had a big moment yesterday, hitting the and one 3-pointer and everything like that, and everybody was calling him Kobe. But the funniest thing about it is the guy, they called him Tupac when he went to Arizona. So he can't live ever. He looks like everybody, literally, who's super famous. But he used to play for the Nets. But it's cool to see that he's on Jordan, and I know they'll have a big cover story about what he did yesterday. So looking forward to it. Should be a really good game, and we move forward from there. Okay, here goes some little NBA rumor, and Giannis is ready to move on from Bucks. What? They're saying that Giannis was very, very close to leaving Milwaukee. We all figured that, but how are you going to leave Milwaukee and they're going to give you life-changing money that you dreamed of, you know what I mean? And literally, when you hear his story and how they came up in Greece and all that stuff, being immigrants from Africa and all that good stuff, there was no way that man was going to pass up all that money and have the comfort that he has in Milwaukee, because that's why he's in Milwaukee, because it's a comfortable situation. It's no pressure here. He's already won a title in Milwaukee. He has the community backing him up. He's became one of the faces of the NBA, if not the face of the NBA at this point. Because, a lot of people say, who has replaced LeBron? Giannis replaced LeBron years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago. When we came out the bubble, it was Giannis's league, it seemed like. You know what I mean? And they were looking towards guys like Giannis, because now when you see a guy like Wemby get drafted in the first with the first pick in the draft, and they're putting those expectations on him, the expectations Giannis didn't have to have coming in, but they're putting Giannis expectations on him because he's damn near, he's about 8-9 inches taller, and pretty much he seems like the perfect specimen to be a dominant basketball player. And that's because they feel like they figured it out with these players overseas. And Giannis is pretty much the blueprint of why they feel these players can be so dominant in the NBA. But what you have to understand is that Giannis had to be developed. It took 3 years to get him to a point where it was like, okay, he's almost like a guard. He's almost like a forward. He really understands what he's doing. He's a guy who didn't start playing basketball very early in his life. So by his improvement and his work ethic, Giannis has became one of those guys in the league. And that's truly what it is. It's really his work ethic and how he goes about his approach. And it's been absolutely spectacular. So when you hear him say that, New York and LA were very on my mind about going to, and I'm still, I don't know how happy I am in Milwaukee right now, because you know what, at the end of the day, anybody can be very upset about how they finished last year, because Giannis did get hurt in the series, but if you're the number 1 seed, you got the best record in the conference, you're supposed to take care of your business. It's not hard to do. You're supposed to take care of your business. And this team that was lackluster all season, they were able to cruise through the year pretty much. And then they get to the first round and they go against a team that was their absolutely thorn in their side, and they wind up losing. So now they are back to square one. They fired their coach. They got a brand new coach. And, Giannis wants to see if this coach is any better than Budenholzer, because he knows he has a good roster, a good team with him. But you know what? They can't regress, and they can't regress. They have to figure out a way to get back to the finals. This team won the championship 2 years ago. They haven't even returned back to the conference finals yet. So this is a very make or break season for Giannis and the Bucks, because if they don't play great basketball this year, you're going to have this rumor pile up again. Can we make moves for Giannis? Things like that. And we know Giannis only has so much more time on this contract as well, too. And he's pretty much telling us now that if we can't get this thing together, I'm moving on. But Milwaukee, if they know they're not going to be able to win championships for Giannis with the groups that they have, they'll go ahead and move him for assets. And it wouldn't be to New York or Los Angeles either. But it's good to know that a high caliber player, high marquee player is thinking about, the bigger markets, because for the NBA to truly thrive, you need guys like Giannis in places like New York, LA, Chicago, those places, Boston. Well, Boston's fine, but we need for the NBA really to move forward. Their star of stars had to play in the biggest markets. It's that simple. And you saw what LeBron did by going to Los Angeles, and he pretty much elevated his whole stature by doing that. So now you have it to where you got guys that are looking at those options as well too. Because when you're a superstar, you have to act like a superstar. And Milwaukee's not a superstar city. Milwaukee's a blue collar town where a lot of people, where it's always about hustle and bustle and hard work. At the end of the day, that you're going to have to be more accountable in places like New York and LA. So you're going to have more accountable teammates that are going to have to play a lot harder. And that's what I feel might complement Giannis the absolute best moving forward. So with that, that's going to be a wrap on Giannis is ready to move on at this point. No, but Milwaukee has gotten the memo that he's not that happy. And he wants to see how they can change the thing and get this thing right and go from there. But there's a lot of pressure on their brand new coach, and there's a lot of pressure on the rest of the team to make sure that they keep their star very happy. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about our next topic before we take our commercial break. And that's going to be Erickson Lubin returns to the ring on September 30th to face off against undefeated Jesus Ramos. Jesus Ramos is a very exciting fighter. He's been doing some crazy things. He's been on a few the last pay-per-views as well too, and he's just been really good. He beat up Cody Crowley, a guy who's a very no, not Cody Crowley, actually Joey Spencer. Joey Spencer was actually the PBC prospect of the year back in 2019, 2018, one of those years. And what happened is that Jesus Ramos walked right through him and absolutely embarrassed him, and that was insane. This was a part of the I think it was the Tank. No, it wasn't the Tank Ryan pay-per-view. It was the part of the Plant Benavides pay-per-view. And it was a huge night that night in Las Vegas for that fight. And, that was a big moment for Ramos because Ramos showed that he's official and that he is ready for the next big move. And, he's been able to take care of his business against what we would say guys that have to have a prove it fight, or guys that are on their last chance as well too. So this is an ultimate step up because this is damn near a title fight, fighting against Erickson Lubin. Erickson Lubin is the definition of pretty much a guy that keeps getting the opportunity, and that opportunity keeps fading away. Because he had the opportunity to get the rematch, to get a fight with Charlo, but he lost to Fundora. He was able to have the opportunity to win a title early in his career and lost to Maul Charlo via knockout, first round, and he was young in his career. Now he goes against a guy that they look at as the guy that's on his way up, ascending to a title fight possibly, while Erickson Lubin's a guy who's pretty much at the crossroads of still being a guy who can crack and possibly win a championship, or a guy who can become a gatekeeper. This is going to be the decision that they make based on the result of the fight. You know what I mean? And I really still feel that Erickson Lubin is a championship caliber fighter. It's just that he fights in a division where the belts are being held up. That's my biggest gripe against the undisputed unified champions. When they win these belts and when they have these fights, what happens is they hold the rest of the division up because usually they get to pick and choose who they're going to fight. The cherry picking begins, and then the sanctioning bodies stay taking the step aside money for their fighters who are ranked to be the immediate opponent for these champions, and it continues the process, because then that champion loses, this other guy holds on to the belts, then they have a rematch, that champion either gives those belts back, or that champion loses all those belts in their next fight against their tune-up opponent, and then it just becomes a hot potato situation, which it did at 154 a few years ago, until Charlo came over there and fixed it and was able to beat Tony Harrison, and then he was able to beat Jason Rosario, and then he was able to beat Brian Castano. So now you have a division that I feel is a bridge division, and Jermell Charlo is going to fight Canelo. They've already made him give up the WBO belt. Now, in the scenario that he beats Canelo, he's never coming back to 154. Let's just go ahead and factor that in. It's not going to happen. So I would say this: Erickson Lubin with a win will possibly put himself in position for that WBC title, with a possible rematch with Fundora, or possibly fighting against I'm trying to think of another name at 154 that would be a great fight for Lubin moving forward. Or he could go ahead. I know that Brian Mendoza is going to fight Tim Tszyu for the WBO belt. So I'm thinking to myself, Lubin had already had an eliminator interim situation with Fundora. So it would be great to see them have a rematch, because that fight was life or death for both guys, even though it does feel like it was decisive because the way that Lubin's face looked, but the way that Fundora has went about it, the way that Fundora lost his last fight, you would say that possibly that this could be a better rematch for Lubin, because then he kind of understands how to go about his business in this next fight as well too. So that will be a possibility for the WBC title. But my whole point is this: I feel like Erickson Lubin will be up for a title if he's able to win this fight. Same thing goes for Jesus Ramos, is that either one of these guys will be up for a title at the 154 pound range. And I'm telling you now, I truly do feel that these belts are going to be broken up by the end of the year. Okay. And everybody's going to get their opportunity to get a belt. And I'm just going to finish with this. When you have divisions like 154, it's really dumb to be a unified champion or an undisputed champion, because you're always killing yourself to make weight, because you're too heavy to be a welterweight, and you're too light, and you're too scared to be a middleweight. So pretty much you find yourself in the middle. How long can you make 154? That's the question. So pretty much what guys do is, I feel like they're stalling time sometimes when they're sitting up in here having 25 title defenses at a weight that is so hard to make, and eventually at one point they're going to get cooked. So what I feel like guys have to do, defend that title 3 or 4 times and move on to 160, because at 160 you'll get an automatic title fight, because you already were a champion in the other class. You become a number 1 contender in the sanctioned body if you decide to jump divisions, because you were already champion, so you already get to jump the line. So, there's a lot of things that boxers need to do a little bit better. And I feel like it's all goes back to who's advising these guys and who's directing these guys' careers. But I truly do feel both these guys are capable of being world champions within the next year. And I really do hope that both guys do get their shot after they have this great fight, because they're both championship contenders, period, point blank. And that's it, and that's all. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take another break. And our first break. I'm talking about another break. Our first break. I'm sorry about that. So with that, we're going to be right back. And this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and I'll be right back at you.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another, and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DBacks, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into Blue Crew Daily. Blue Crew Daily, Dodgers win 7-4 against DBacks and look to win another series with Kershaw on the mound tonight. Yeah, they got 2 more games left to go in the series, but the Dodgers are on a roll right now, and the Dodgers have either swept series or they've went ahead and they've just took 2 out of 3 of a series. But they've been really good in LA as of late. And, the beat just keeps going on. And the Dodgers are just playing championship baseball as usual during the regular season. What's new? Blue Crew, Dodger Nation, everybody's used to this. And pretty much the Dodgers, I told you guys in July or late June, whenever it was, you don't worry about the Dodgers. Once they kick on that switch, it's going to be hard to stop them. It took about a week or 2 before the All-Star break. The switch came on and it hasn't went off yet. And the Dodgers literally have been walking through teams all month long. And right now they're sitting at about 22-5 for the month. Okay. The Dodgers have been just absolutely incredible. And that's just great scouting, great patience, and the Dodgers are looking forward to a nice playoff run right now. They got a great pitcher in Lance Lynn, who's a 3-time All-Star, and he's a power pitcher. That's something that the Dodgers really, 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 really needed, haven't had in a long time. A straight-up power pitcher, guy that throws nothing but the heat. Also, Ahmad Rosario has been very good quietly. Kike Hernandez, once again, a very good dugout guy. And he's been able to be clutch as usual because he got his mojo back. He got his confidence back because he's with the team that he really got his shine on with. And, that's just a beautiful sight as well, too. And then you also have Yarborough, who's probably the guy that I'm the most fond of out of who everybody traded for the Dodgers because he's a versatile pitcher. He's a guy that can start. He's a guy that can come in the middle of the game. He's a guy that can possibly close the game for you if he needs to. But Ryan Yarborough is a nice, comfortable pitcher. He doesn't throw the ball really hard, but he's very deceptive, and that's exactly what you need in a lefty, and that's exactly what he's brought to the table. So the Dodgers are in good shape, and tonight they have Clay Kershaw on the mound, who's looking to get himself another win, and keep himself confident as we move forward to the playoffs and things of that nature. You have the Diamondbacks, who are scraping at this moment because last night was seriously a setback for them. They really needed to kick off this series with the win. Now they find themselves, they were already 13 games back, but they find themselves now only a half a game ahead of San Francisco. Luckily enough that Cincinnati didn't win last night, because if Cincinnati wins last night, then Cincinnati possibly would be a little bit closer today. And right now, Arizona is literally trying to breathe easy. They've played some great baseball, though, this month. You know that they've won their last 7 out of 10 games as well too, but in reality, they've actually won their last 10 out of 13. So that's been really good for this team, man. Moving forward, they've had a great month. And you know what? This team did start off the month losing 9 in a row. So that's what makes the Diamondbacks resurgence a little special right now, but they don't want this thing to get cut off playing against the Dodgers. Straight up. This is a very telling week for the Diamondbacks because they have to really try to increase their lead as they got both the guys that are chomping at the bit to catch them playing each other this week. So it's going to be a very, very tough game tonight on the Diamondbacks because if they overthink this thing, they'll lose. If they underthink this thing, they'll lose. So they just got to stay laser focused. That's it. And the Dodgers, on the other hand, they just can't get complacent. That's the whole thing. And that's what I look at. But in tonight's game, I truly do feel like tonight's game does go under. I feel like we do get ourselves a pitcher's duel here because you have to understand both teams are going to be concentrating on winning this game tonight. The Dodgers don't want to let up on their momentum. The Diamondbacks have to keep themselves ahead of the rest of the pack, holding that final wild card spot. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, let's go ahead and talk about MLB Tuesday night. We got a full schedule tonight. Every team in the MLB is playing tonight, and we have ourselves some really good games. We don't have a lot of interleague matchups. We got a lot of division matchups tonight that are very important towards teams that are trying to get into the playoffs this year. You know, it's a very, very good season going on. There's a lot of parity going on in the MLB as well, too. So let's go ahead and jump into our first game. It's going to be the Battle of Florida between the Rays and the Marlins. And this is always a fun matchup between Miami and Tampa. So what do we have going on here tonight? You have a Rays team that are sitting pretty, number one wild card team, but still trying to snatch that East title this year because, you know, if you're the Rays, you say to yourself, we led this division by 13 games. We are not going to lose this division. We should not be even anywhere near being down 2.5, 3 games in this division. We got off to too great of a start to be a wild card team this year. So I know they're still playing with the passion that you need to have to win a division. Miami, on the other hand, reality is caught up with Miami. Miami didn't have big expectations this year. They weren't thinking that they were a playoff team this year. They were thinking that they were a good team that was ascending to a better position, possibly like third place. But now they find themselves in the meat of a playoff race, and at one point they were the number one wild card in that playoff race. So you have no choice but to keep going. You know what I mean? And I feel like the Marlins have hit the wall. They got out to a slow start to start the season. Then they picked it up and had a great run for 2 months. And since those 2 months, they've kind of regressed and fell back off the wagon. And at this point right now, they're going through the motions. The Rays, on the other hand, they're trying to stay afloat. They're trying to get back into the top spot of the East. But the Orioles just keep winning. But that's probably not going to last much longer because now we're entering the dog days of September, and this is when teams really show exactly who they truly are. So with that, tonight, I feel like what we do here is we're going to take the Marlins in this spot tonight. They got Alcantara on the mound for the Marlins tonight. The Rays, on the other hand, have a pitcher that I feel that can absolutely get hit by the Marlins, and that's going to be Aaron Savali. Even though Savali does have a pretty good ERA this year, and that was a big-time trade from the Guardians this year picking up Savali, but I feel like Sandy Alcantara is going to have enough to win this game today against the Rays. So I do like them with the minus 175 on, not the minus 175, the plus 175 on the 1.5 run line, and that's a minus 1.5 run line as well, too. All right, so let's go ahead, move forward and jump into our next spot, and that's going to be this. This is going to be the White Sox and the Orioles. The White Sox come into this game, just ready for the season to be over. They had high expectations, but things have fell apart. And now they're starting to come out with what's actually going on in the dugout and who don't like each other and what player has been the most annoying all season, and just all the drama stuff that comes out with bad teams. You got the Orioles 82-49, the best record in the American League. Everybody's still stunned about this situation as well, too. They're up 2.5 games at this point. They've won their last 8 out of 10 games as well, including their last 5 out of 6. So this is a team that is very high on being the best this year, period, point blank. They ain't worried about when their time is going to be. Their time is now. When they got rid of Trey Mancini last year and had a winning record and still were in the playoff race, everybody said, oh man, the Orioles, what are they doing? They did that because they said, you know what, we're not going to go into this season with anybody thinking that we're going to pay them. Okay, we're going to have ourselves one of the lower salary caps in baseball, when it comes to our players, and we're gonna win with the farm. And they done a great job. They spent 10 years building up a farm, trading away key players to get assets. And so now we're sitting here playing Astros ball with the Orioles right now. But the one thing about the Orioles is they don't have any type of ace pitcher. And that's the one thing that you just question going into the playoff stretch. But right now, the Orioles are a team that still have not hit that wall yet. And that wall is getting very visible, but when's it showing up? You know what I mean? So right now, I feel like this game calls for the over, in my opinion. I think that, Grayson Rodriguez on the mound today, the young rookie, and then he's going against Kopech today, who's always kind of 50-50, kind of shaky a little bit, but I feel like you're going to get the White Sox to score some runs, you're going to get the Orioles to score some runs, and then we wind up getting over the 9 runs. So with that, that's going to be the bet for the Sox and for the White Sox, because we got the Red Sox, White Sox, all that good stuff. But for the White Sox and the Orioles. All right, so we move forward. Let's talk about the Reds and the Giants. And this game is like eliminator somewhat, but not really. But you do have teams that cannot fall that far behind in this situation. You have a Reds team that has Brandon Williamson going on to the mound tonight. You have Alex Cobb on the mound for the Giants. Cobb is 6-5 on the year, 3.74 ERA, 117 strikeouts on the year. Last time out, went 5 innings, struck out 4, gave up 4 hits, gave up 2 runs. So, that was against Philadelphia on the road. And the last time he was at home, he got absolutely cracked. And what happened at home is that he gave up 6 runs to 9 hits and struck out 3, walked 2. So he's going to have to improve upon his last home adventure because he just hasn't been good in the Bay the last 2 times, because they did play against Oakland, and Oakland, he wound up giving up 5 runs in that game on 7 hits and 3 strikeouts. So he's going to have to be better today. Then you get Brandon Williamson, who absolutely had a gem of a game last time out against Arizona, struck out 6 in 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, and walked 1. He's been good in his last 4 games, except for in the Toronto game. He gave up 4 runs in that one and 9 hits, but struck out 6. But he's been consistently striking a lot of guys out. So for all my players that do the props and everything like that, whatever Williams' strikeout number is tonight, say if it's a 5.5, I would take it, because I'm looking at it right now. His last 5 games, 7 strikeouts. 9 strikeouts and 6 3 times. So that shows me that you got a guy that can get you that ticket cash tonight if he just pitches his game. And he seems to already be a guy that accumulates a lot of strikeouts. So with that, that will be a good bet for that game. But for the overall game, what we're going to do here is this. We're going to go ahead and in this spot tonight, how do I have this set up? Is it a play for the people or is it a play for us? Because I swear I had put something on this game tonight. And you know what? What happens in this game tonight is how I feel what we do in this spot tonight. This game will be a game that I feel like you can scoreboard watch. You really don't want to get yourself too enamored with the winner. And I feel like you get the over 7.5 in this spot. So there it is. And that's going to be our games, most important games for the night. So when I get back, we will get back and we will talk those tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DBacks, the Primetime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we are at your favorite part of the show, my favorite part of the show, and that is Talking Tickets. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into our first game for tonight. It's a 9-1 ticket here with the Lynx kicking it off, plus 6.5. We also have the over 159 with the Mercury and the Dream tonight. And then we have our dog today in the WNBA, and that's going to be the Chicago Sky, who are in my neighborhood tonight, playing over at the Staples Center, aka the crypto.com center, aka Chick Hearn's Drive, or whatever they call it. But yes, the house that Kobe built. So plus 165 to the Sky tonight to upset the Sparks. The Sparks are good, but the Sparks are not a playoff team. The Sky aren't a playoff team. So it's really a 50-50 game. We'll see how it goes. All right. So we got a 76-1 tonight with the Primetime PK6. We got the Angels plus 1.5, minus 145. Then the Tigers money line tonight, minus 115. I do like Screwball tonight in that spot against the Yankees, who pretty much have waved the white flag. No playoffs this year in the Brazonks. And then we have the Marlins plus 175, as we already talked about earlier. I feel like this team should have a good day today. They have their ace on the mound, so that should be just some good work for us. Then we have the over 9 with the White Sox and the Orioles tonight as well, too. This should be another strong play for us, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And then we have the Nats money line plus 155 as our dog of the day. This should be a lot of fun with them as well, too. And then we go to Fenway tonight, taking the Red Sox with the minus 125 in a must-win situation against the Astros. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our late pick 4, which is going to be 13-1. We have the over 8.5 with the Padres and the Cardinals. Then we have the Pirates money line minus 135. And then we have the under 12 Braves and Rockies. And then we finish up with the Mariners minus 135 tonight. Hopefully they can go ahead and just keep the good times rolling up there in Seattle tonight. So pretty much with that, that's going to be a wrap on today's show. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in as well, too. And if you didn't tune in and you're watching this on the replay, thank you as well, too. But if you either watched it live, you watched it on the replay, you watched it 2 days later, it doesn't matter. I need you to go ahead and share this show, share this video, Do what you got to do. Make sure that we get these numbers up. I'm trying to get myself to 2,500 subscribers on YouTube before week 2 of the NFL season. So you guys start moving this stuff around. Also, put up my my actual page as well too, if you are supporting the wave the way that you guys say that you are. So pretty much it takes a group, it takes a community. So let's make it happen. All right. But with that, once again, you guys are the absolute best. There is no me without you. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. And this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.